Loot and Run, a small game, very small, very portable, as you can see, by Aiello. The theme is about looting pyramids. You're going down the pyramids, looking for treasures, and you want to run away with them before the monsters do bad stuff to you. But everybody else is doing the same, so you also have to worry about what the other players are doing. Loot and Run, one of these nice boxes with a magnetic lock. Here, as part of the box, you have the score track, which is neat. It's mainly a game it's mainly a card game with player rates here. Markers as I used to score. Look how just adorable this box is. So you have the score markers that go on the score track, of course, but again, the heart of the game is with these. It is created by these cards here. You shuffle all of these cards together at the beginning of a game, and then you place them on the table in two piles, so the players will have some chance to choose where to draw from. And more or less, I want to give you two different cards. As you can see, there are cards of three types: red, yellow, and green. The green is the safest one. I'll explain later what that means. Yellow is a little more dangerous, and red is the most dangerous, but also possibly the most profitable. During your turn, you can do one of three things. First, you can draw a card from a pile of your choice. You look at it, ooh, interesting, and you put it in front of you. Maybe next turn I'll do the same. I'll look at the card and I'll put it in front of me. Maybe I'll do the same following turn, and so on and so forth. That means that after a while, players will have lines of cards in front of them representing the section of the pyramid that they are exploring, so with the monsters that they are potentially encountering and also the treasures that they're potentially bringing home. So one of the three possible actions: grab a card, add it to your play area. The other action is simply to run, that is to score all of your cards. If you run, you spend your entire turn doing that, you have an action per turn. But what you do is then you score. You score your treasures. So you ignore monsters that may be there, you ignore anything and everything else, and you score points. In this case, I score 7 points because I have 7 treasures, 3, 2, and 2. If you have multiple treasures of a kind, for example, here I have multiple cards showing the same statue, then I double the score for that type of treasure. I said multiple of a kind, it means, yeah, they need to be on multiple cards. So, well, you know what I mean. Look at these eggs, aren't they cute? So, basic actions: collect cards and run and score the cards. So far, so good. It seems pretty easy, right? But here's when things get tricky. The other action that you can do is to try to wake up the monsters in the section that the opponents are exploring. In which case, you select an opponent. The opponent has to reveal their cards. And then you count the number of monsters that they have and possibly the number of amulets. These are the amulets that will protect the players from the monsters. You count the number of monsters and amulets, and at that point, if there are more amulets than monsters or an equal number, like in this case, things are fine for the player that has these cards. That is, the player escapes, the amulet protects them from the monster, and they get to score these points normally. So you wasted your turn so they could score, and they can score saving a turn. So next turn they can use it to get a card instead of revealing all of their cards. So if the amulets outnumber the monsters or is the same number, good for the player. However, if there are more monsters than amulets, like in this case or this case, then that is bad for the player because the player doesn't get to score their own things, and the player that awakened the monsters, the player that used their action to flip your cards face up, gets an advantage. An advantage for each type of monster in your pyramid. If there are multiple instances of the same monster, you still get the advantage only once. If there is a mummy in the area that you that the opponent controls and that you trigger the awaken and the monsters attack the player. So if there is a mummy, the player that awakened the monsters gets to score that area as if it was their own. This is your area, I scored it, the monsters catch you, and I get to score all of your cards. That would be pretty sweet. This other symbol here indicates that the player gets to play an extra turn, and this other symbol here indicates that the player gets to draw a card from each pile. Again, these are advantages that don't go to the owning player, go to the other player that flipped these cards up, that decide to use their action to awaken. So this is the thing. This is the game. It's super simple, but it's also super interesting. As you see that the pyramids of the opponent are getting populated, large and crowded, and you see that, ooh, they have cards that are pretty dangerous, then you can take a risk and decide to use your action to look at those cards, flip them face up, and see what happens. In this case, that was good. But it may also be that there are cards, there are pyramids that look super dangerous, but in truth they're not. Like in this case, this is a pretty good pyramid. They're big and look dangerous, and I'm tempted to use my action to trigger it to look at it, and then once it is done, you reveal all the cards, and turns out that the owning player gets to score it normally. So this is the gamble, and this is the bluffing. Bluffing, I may have a super dangerous pyramid. I don't want anybody to do anything with it until the game goes back to me and I spend my action to score it, so I don't have to worry about the monsters. That one type of bluffing. The other bluffing is I may have a pyramid that looks terrible, but it's pretty good and profitable. Then I hope that the players will use their action to awaken the monsters so that I can score them without wasting an action, and next time I'll use my action to get a new card. So that is the bluffing element. Of course, then you have the gambling element and reading the player's bluffs, because if you can figure out when it is that your opponent does have a dangerous pyramid and you get to see it and use the awaken action, then of course it's good for you because you get all of those neat advantages. So it's pretty dangerous. It's a big gamble, a fairly big gamble, to use your action to look at another player's cards to try to awaken the monsters, but it can be very profitable. This is the game. You continue until a player has reached 35 points, thanks to the treasures that they scored, and the player, of course, is the winner of the game. And this is it. This is the game. It's simplicity itself. I really like it. I enjoy this game. It's super simple, super fun, super intuitive. It's all about, again, pushing your luck, but not just that. You know, when you push your luck, just rolling dice, there is that. That's interesting. But here you have push your luck as you're drawing cards, plus pretty much gambling, plus bluffing. And pushing luck and bluff, of course, they're different things. And it's nice to have these two elements together in a game that remains simple, fun, and absolutely very enjoyable. It's a little filler. You can teach it very easily. It's fun. It requires sort of like the right group, like games of this kind. I don't know, the game Ink and Gold, that has similarities with this game, but pretty superficial ones. One of the biggest similarities that you have you need the right group for the game to be fun. The group needs to bring some energy to the game. There's a game that has a strong social component, and so it takes the right group, a group that wants to laugh, that doesn't want to take the game too seriously, but to an extent, the game still can be played seriously enough. You can take the mechanics seriously, you can have fun at thanks to the art, and especially you have to have fun at the crazy stuff that happens as you spend your action and you're convinced, 100% convinced that you will destroy the opponent. The opponent actually gets to score a load of points on your action. So it takes a group that wants to laugh and have fun. And the most fun part, of course, is when players do something absolutely terrible. Meaning, precisely, when you get to score, when you get to awaken the monsters. You thought it was a good idea, it's a terrible idea, and vice versa. You have this awesome, enormous pyramid. You just need one more turn for the game to go back to you and score it, and somebody else awakens the monsters. You don't get to score it, the opponent gets a lot. Meaning, situation where players do particularly well and particularly bad will be fun, and people will laugh. There will be cheers around the table. Again, with players that are in the right mindset. So, great filler, great warm-upper before a game night, or even, at the end of game night when everybody's tired, the mechanics are simple, easy, just to have some extra 15-20 minutes or fun before the game night is wrapped up. Loot and run could be a good option. Also a great travel game. I mean, now the weather is getting good. I'm filming this in the spring, and when the weather starts getting good, there are now those go camping. We love camping. And we're gonna go out for the first camping of the season this weekend, and this game will be with me because we're going camp with friends, with adult friends, and of course, in that kind of setting, I like to take out a simple light game that I can play with non-gamers and we can have fun. This is the perfect game for that setting, perfect camping game, because you can play with non-gamers, with casual gamers. It's simple to learn, has a nice pace, because the game goes around so fast. No analysis paralysis, no downtime. It is just incredibly amusing and entertaining. Wonderful presentation, beautiful components, absolutely a winner. A winner in a small category, in the lightweight category, of course, of the filler type of game, but within that category, a winner nevertheless. Loot and Run by Aiello. Fun, fun, fun game.